that has happened basically novel experience that he has had over the last 2 decades of coming out with a Sinhalese newspaper outside Sri Lanka, and that's the only one of its kind that's been there for almost 16 years, as it says, way back in the late 90s that it was established in the UK, and it's done its rounds all around the globe to even Australia and New Zealand as well. And he has compiled a book, and it's about the book launch of Rupa Kaawwya that we're going to talk about. And it's time for Sharon and I to welcome Daya Ananda Ranasinghe to the studios. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
Talking about this whole thing, Ranasinghe, talking about what you have experienced right through your life, being a journalist, and then going to the UK and coming out with something so novel that I don't think anyone has ever thought of coming out with a Sinhalese newspaper in a foreign country. What made you do that?
Actually, the basic thing is about many years ago, when everything this all happening started in 1983, we were in a sort of a very bad situation, and we had these particular anti-Sri Lankan elements started working in the UK and in the other countries as well. So there was no
defense or answer
for that. So, and also the single crowds living in abroad, they were very dismal, and they didn't know what to do. They were confused. So that was the time we were getting together, and we were discussing what to do, how to help Sri Lanka and our motherland. So then someone suggested, so why don't you start a newspaper? Being a journalist, you have experience and everything, so we don't have a voice. So Sinhalese people didn't have a voice at all. So would you do it? So I said, okay, I'll do it. And I started this newspaper in 1997, Single New Year, for April in Single New Year, so the Single New Year started, and I called it Lanka Vitti, and because it's about Sri Lanka. So actually from that it was very well welcomed by everybody. So from later on, then we started sending this paper to the adjoining countries like France and Germany, Italy, and this and that. Then from there onwards, we started sending it to all other countries and Sri Lanka as well.
So looking at your experience in working as a journalist and your exposure in also giving news to people, there comes a point where people do understand and believe the newspaper.
Yeah, that's right.
Every story that has been published, it comes to the point where it's close to their heart. And sometimes when you have to buy a paper from your own country, it's like, I don't want to know the stories about the other world, it's only about yourself. How did you collect and connect with the information to gather all these stories to the newspaper?
Actually, it's well, I trust in the news media and the news reporting, because being a journalist, I knew what was the true stories and what was not true. So I had this ability to pick up the essence of anything. So that's what I added it, I expanded it my way, and I put it into our people. Actually, they accepted it and they knew it was true. So nothing even to this day, they knew I was writing the correct thing. So that belief and that trust had been there from the beginning to the end.
Okay. And your experience as a poet, and your experience as a writing journalist, and you're also on script play, how have you divided into various aspects? A person or nature of a journalist would be to simply write stories of other people and also to cover the areas. But you have been exposed into poetry, which is something into art and various other
If I may go into detail, in the newspapers, a few prints that we have with us, one thing that struck me is that there's a quote on top of the newspaper that says, "Mother and motherland are nobler than heaven." Why did you come out with
Yeah,
that?
actually, this is the one from the beginning. I wanted to put some good something like what you call it, quotation or something. So I asked one of the Buddhist priests in the UK, very young Buddhist priest. I can't remember his name. So he said, you better put that in this this line of it's a Indian or it's a Hindu, Hindustani or Sanskrit. Janani Janma Bhumischa Swargadepi Kariyashi. That means the meaning is mother and motherland are nobler than heaven. So I thought, oh, it's good. So I had to put that. I had to take that and put it on the headline. So from the very beginning to the last one, we stopped the paper last year after 16 years. So that slogan carried all issues.
And going into detail about the pictures, because you decided on the picture for the newspaper front page.
Yeah, that's right.
What was the reason behind picture? Now, how much of pictures do you probably get for every edition? Because it was published every month.
Every month, yeah. But rare pictures, not the common ones. I saw wherever, even I know when the Christmas comes, I wanted to have a very rare Christmas picture for that. Not the what you call Queen
Mother Mary.
Mother Mary holding the sun. Just a normal one. But I was going to every shop or to every place to have this, but have a particular photograph for that. So when I got it, actually I was happy. So then what I thought, what's the poem I'm going to write for this? It should be a special poem. So like that, that's how it came.
Mr. Daya, we want to talk about the main purpose, your visit here in Sri Lanka, and also about the book.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
Actually, yes. After 16 years, then there are a lot of poetry, verses, and photographs. So I thought it's a good idea to make a collection and put it into in print. So that's how this Rupa Kaawwya, or the photo poetry, photograph and poetry, came into being. So the book launch is on the 4th of next
couple of days.
Yeah, a couple of days. It's in Mahal Center. So I thought I have to do the book launch in Sri Lanka because this is my motherland. So although this is printed in the UK, and I came all the way from there to have the book launch. So when I go back, I'll have one there. Then after that, I'm going to Paris. I organize that as well. From there, then we are going to Israel. There are some single crowds. There's a single crowd there. So I'm going to then after the end of the year. So I'm planning to go to Sydney to have a book launch there. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, so it's a travel trip as well as taking the book and the story along with you to various countries as well.
Yeah, that's true.
So you released a CD as well. You worked on a book.
Yeah.
What would be your next big moment of looking forward to doing your agenda?
Yeah, that's right. And there are many things because of the main reason why I stopped doing Lanka with the newspaper is I have fulfilled some sort of expectation. That is the reason we started Lanka with the newspaper for the country. Our Sri Lanka was going through bad pressure period. So we want to come out of that. So because of the war, so we want to. The victory of the war was in my mind all the time. So it happened. So I'm happy. Then onward, everything is what happened after that. Then also because of the newspaper, I stopped a lot of things in writing. So I have about 3 novels halfway. I couldn't finish that, and a script also. So what I'm going to do? So in a way, because I have dedicated all my life for the newspaper, I thought it's better to stop this and go back to my writing. So that's what I'm going to do after this.
So hopefully people will get to read more about what you're capable of doing in the early part of your life as a journalist and coming out doing novels of that sort and dedicating your life, at least 2 decades of your life, since the late 1990s up until last year, you dedicated your life to defend Sri Lanka and Sinhalese at large all around Europe and in that, for that matter, everywhere else, even in places like Australia and New Zealand, where this newspaper was very, very popular. And Lankavitya has come to a halt last year, and you'll get Rupa Kaawwya available after the 4th of September once the release is done. The book launch will be held at the Mavali Center, that's in Tibijama. So that's something to look forward to. There's quite a lot of pictures and, as it says, poetry which have been translated to English as well. In every picture there's a Sinhalese poem translated into English as well. So there's lots to read about, lots to catch up on, as Mr. Ranasinghe himself mentioned. Some of those very rare pictures that we have seen over the last decade and a half, 16 years of newspapers that have been released since 1997. But looking at all that, the experience of doing all this, Mr. Ranasinghe, what's the most unforgettable incident coming out of the newspaper?
There are so many incidents, but I just can't say offhand but I have good and bad memories about this thing. But as a journalist and as a poet and as a common man, actually I am a very simple person. I love my country. That's why I come only because my friends are here. All my friends, they support me. Even I'm there. Whenever I want a photograph or so whatever it is, then I just give a call. Can you send this? All my friends, they say, okay, what time? I say in a jiffy. I want it now. So they immediately they send the photograph. They email it. So I am happy in that I am having such marvelous people in Sri Lanka. This is my country, my people. So I am there.
Great. So we want to wish you all the very best. And it's a journalist's life is not just about writing, but also taking the stories to the world. And that's what's remarkably what we will not forget. Thanks to your efforts.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
All right, it's been a great pleasure talking to Mr. Ranasinghe about his experiences of taking news to the Sinhalese crowd all around the globe. And it's time for Sharon and I to say goodbye on today's edition of Rise and Shine. We have shared quite a lot of information with regards to all sorts of things, not just the highlights in the front pages, but sports and entertainment as well. Brad Pitt and Elvis Presley and all that we have highlighted during the show. So make sure that you tune up tomorrow morning as well, same time, same place. Bye-bye.
Take care. Have yourself a super Tuesday.